everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We're really excited today. We have two of our Hallmark writers with us today. We love talking with the writers here on the podcast. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and I'm so delighted to have Zach here and Shari Sharpe here, the writers of the Christmas in Evergreen. Bells Are Ringing, the new sequel to the Christmas in Evergreen franchise. And thank you both so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is so fun. So what I wanted to talk to you about first is just this crazy year of 2020. We've been kind of doing that with all of our interviews lately, just talking about what was the whole experience of quarantine like for you. I mean, Zach, as a writer, maybe it wasn't all that different for you, but what was it like?
I mean, I think it's different in terms of what we write. Do you know what I mean? I think that there is the question where you're kind of like, well, should we put people in masks? Should we address it? Should we talk about it? And I think, for Evergreen exists kind of in its own time and universe anyway, that feels, not that you want to ignore it, because we do. I mean, there is a sort of interesting way that we talk about it in there, but these, when you sort of watch these movies for years and years and years, you kind of don't know what year they take place in. And so It's very easy to kind of date them in some way. Like, we've always said, like, it's the 50th Christmas festival and not it's the 2020 Christmas. Like, it's, we sort of tended to do it anyway. And it kind of, in that escapist sort of world, but still talking about it in some way, I think was important to us. So,
well, I mean, it's been weird for me because I enjoy that escapism, and I don't know how much I really want 2020 coming into these movies, but then on another level, there have been certain things that have been kind of bittersweet to watch, because it's just like, I miss being with people. It's like, and I think the hardest one was the Chateau Christmas, because that was all about planning this concert, and I miss the arts so much, and I miss concerts so much, and so that one was very bittersweet, I think, to say the least.
We definitely address not being able to see people in here, so I'm actually looking forward to how that plays out for people.
Yeah. Well, so Shari, you're new to our podcast and to the Hallmark family. How did you get started as a writer, and how did you become involved with the project?
Well, I always feel like I decided late in life, but then everyone reminds me that I'm young. But I essentially did a screenwriting program, and when I came out of it, I was just like super eager to get into the industry and start working. And I knew Zach, and so Zach sent my script, and they liked it. And so I got on this film, which was my first film. So I'm obviously super excited and trying to play it cool right now. But I am just over the moon that I got to work on this. And for all the reasons you both just mentioned, Evergreen, when I had to binge the first three in preparation, it was just, it's so much more magical. It is kind of just based in a completely different reality, and there is that escapism to it. So during quarantine, and I was in Canada at the time, and it was July, and it was hot, and it was just not the best circumstance. So I was like, oh, this is so much fun. This is so lovely, and this is really wonderful. So I was really happy. Yeah.
So did you grow up wanting to become a screenwriter, or how is your sort of path that way?
I feel like being a writer, and if you're young and you think, oh, I want to be a writer, then you definitely have some confidence behind you. I think that there's for me anyway, that there was oh no, I don't want to be a writer. I don't want to be a writer. I don't want to be a writer. I want to do anything else. And then it was oh, but that's the thing you're good at. So it was more like that. And it's still even hard sometimes to say, well, I'm a writer or I'm a screenwriter. But yeah, because everyone grows up writing stories. Everyone keeps a diary growing up. So I just feel like it's something we all do, but you don't think that's going to be my career. It's like, no, I'm going to be a vet. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to cure cancer.
She is also a very good dancer. She danced professionally.
Oh.
Shari's amazing. Like, did top to bottom. Like, she's one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. So don't let her sell herself short.
That's amazing.
I wasn't going to be a vet. Zach is right. I was going to be a ballet dancer, if anything. So.
Oh, wow. So how did you two end up meeting? And you were in Canada. You met up there?
We met in a class. Point of fact, I was teaching a TV writing class that Shari took, and she finished the program, and then time had got, like, we had just kind of stayed in touch, and then we were talking about things, and when it came time to sort of find, Hallmark is they're sort of really looking for how to expand their stable of writers, and also use, like, all of us are, it's a big pool of people that come into it. And I had this sort of like, who'd be good at this? And so then I sent her to a couple of people, and then we decided to write this one together, just because it made more sense to do this one together. And it was, that was some of the most fun. I've written with my sister as well. And I'm finding that writing these as a team is so much more fun. Because, it's fine to sit here by myself and sort of imagine, Barbara Niven doing stuff, but Shari and I got to actually like kind of act it out and sort of do stuff.
How does that work when you're writing in a team? But you do a section and then send it over to her and she does a section, or do you, how does it work?
So many ways. Every day was a way. Every draft was just a different direction.
Yeah, there was one where she started from the front and worked her way to the end, and I started from the back, and then we met and crossed and rewrote each other. And then there was another draft where we just sat together and did word for word. That was actually, the later drafts was sort of all of that. The later drafts was the two of us on Zoom sharing a screen. And then one of us would stay up late and finish something, and the other one read it in the morning and be like, oh my God, I love this. Like, that happened, I think, to both of us a couple of times where it was like, so yeah.
So Shari, were you really familiar with this genre, with these rom-coms, or something you'd watched?
Oh, my mother is an avid fan of all Hallmark films. I always make the joke, but like from November 1st, my mom is just glued. She loves them. So whenever I go home for the holidays, they're on TV. So I am very familiar with the genre.
I tell you, we have to get you and Will Kemp on a project together, because he was a ballet dancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he performed in London and all kinds of places, and he was a dancer for years. So Zach, you I believe got engaged over quarantine. Am I right with that?
Quarantine's been a lot of life changes.
Yeah.
I did. I got engaged to a very, very, very sweet boy named Dan Park, who's also a writer. And then we moved. It's been a big couple of months. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's so exciting. And I'm just curious if you feel like that experience, especially because this movie has a wedding in it, if you feel like that experience kind of helped you in writing the movie.
Not this. So I met him about a year and a half ago, and I was writing Tidings of Joy. And so there's a couple of speeches that Michelle has in Tidings of Joy that are just like me talking to that guy. Right. I think this year it was a lot more. I think this year was a lot more about, it's so many, to me, it's like Evergreen is such a, like, it's almost a series of, it's almost a TV show in a weird way, that you clock all these characters and the sort of journeys that they go on. And I think a lot of it for us was paying off stuff that had been set up prior. I always said that Michelle's like the story of Evergreen. One of the things that's always so nice about it is that someone comes to town and has to be reintroduced to this kind of snow globe Christmas place. but underneath it all, Michelle and Hannah have these really good, kind of rich, interesting stories. And to be able to sort of like goose those into the forefront of the story was, I think, where we were so focused. So.
Yeah, I just figured that with love in the air that the inspiration would have flowed.
It did not flow. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So when you decided for this one to keep it kind of in family and not have a new person moving in to Evergreen, how come that ended up happening? Did you feel like kind of we have the town's full, or what was sort of your inspiration there?
I think, I mean,
I love that.
Say again, sorry.
The town's full. We have enough characters.
That's Evergreen 5. They just to me, I always thought, it was weirdly, we talked about it a lot about Toy Story 4, about how there's the character of Bo Peep in 4 where she all of a sudden moves to the forefront of the story. And I think I had always certainly thought that was the plan for these, right? I've always sort of operated under the assumption that the plan for these stories was that Michelle and Hannah, that those stories would come into the forefront because it was the natural progression to do so, right? And to me, it was a real gift to be able to develop those characters for 3 movies, show new sides of them every time. Like Michelle has this lovely arc where, from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, she kind of goes from very stressed out to kind of learning how to get through everything. And Hannah, this movie really is Hannah finding her place in town, in a place where she's always belonged, but what does it mean to her? That was always a question that you don't always have time in a story to tell in the background. I mean, Ezra's the same way to me, is that Ezra's story is very interesting, and it's always there's stuff that gets taken out that gets cut for time, and that part of it, I think, it felt always in the plan, and this just felt like the right time for me. And it was Hallmark's idea, actually. It came originally from Heather.
Is Ezra the mayor?
Ezra's the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Former mayor.
Yeah. A lot of these movies, I just am like, it's Holly Robinson Peete. She has a character name, I know, but I don't remember. Yeah. I was like, the Paul Campbell character. I have no idea what their name is. But I mean, it's really cool because we've gotten to know these characters, even though I can't remember their character names. We have gotten to know them over the course of these movies, and now it's fun to like you said, see them take the spotlight, because I think that the best part about the third one was Antonio and Rukia. I thought they were my favorite part. They had such chemistry, and you kind of were thinking, why haven't they been in a movie together before? They work so well together. And and
that's what's fun about these. Like you see that and you go, ooh, let's deepen that story. Like, they have such good chemistry. Let's keep going with what those things are. So
yeah. So Shari, what was it like for you to kind of dive into this world of Evergreen with all of its Christmas excess?
Well, it was like, there's the key mysteries of the former 2, the second, third one, so the ones that Zach wrote, and I was like, and that was one of my favorite bits, because I was like, oh, there's a little bit of mystery involved, for David, for the boy in it. And I thought, okay, that's cool. That's a cool element. It's not just like, there's the romance on top, there's that happening here. So for me, it was really just like taking those kinds of notes from the first 3 films, obviously the magic element of everything too, with the snow globe, the letters to Santa box, all of that, and how that ties into the mystery. But it kind of felt like you get to do a bit of everything. So you get to do a bit of this genre and this genre and make it all work and wrap it in this beautiful Christmas bow.
Mhm.
So I was really interested in the series specifically for that reason. So that was like a good starting point going into this one. It was like, okay, what elements do we have to talk about? Like we have to go back to what elements are going to be new that we can make up, you know, and we kind of created a little antagonist for this one. So that's an element that's like new. We were like, we need this character. And then it was just, okay, but how do we keep it evergreen? Like, what are the big story points that we have to meet for, you know, the characters we're bringing to light? So, you know, Rukia and
we also got to invent a character to do the thing that is fun about Evergreen, where someone comes to town and learns like, what is this in, you know, this place with all these people. So we got to invent this character that we named after Shari's mom, that is Michelle's sister, played by Marcy T. House. And all I can tell you is that like she is unbelievably good. That it's some of the funniest stuff I've seen in a Hallmark movie in a long time, and the chemistry between the two actresses was. I cannot wait for people to meet. Yeah, meeting that character. I cannot wait for people to see Sonia in action.
She was just in Cranberry Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was fun. I liked her in that. She's a
powerhouse. She's really amazing, and does a really. It's so much fun to watch her interact with Evergreen, because it sort of also like lets you off the hook of Evergreen always has kind of had a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek feeling about. They kind of know they're in a Christmas movie. It's always felt a little bit like the characters are like, and to give someone that real audience perspective of it was so fun, and some of the most fun I've had in a script so far. So
you had to kind of balance in writing this with all the different characters, just like with the previous ones, but you have Holly Robinson Pete and Colin's character getting married and the wedding to plan and write, and then you also have Rukia and Antonio's plotline to write, and then you have Barbara Niven and all of that. So that must be challenging, especially with ad breaks and all the other stuff they have to consider.
Yes.
You're like, yep, it's really hard. It really is.
And that goes back to Zach's earlier point. Like, there are things that get cut through the editing process, and it is really just like Rachel said, the town's full. You know, you try and entertain a lot of those stories in your first draft, and then you kind of have to like sculpt out of that. What ends up being the final product. But yeah, there was a lot of stories to keep track of. And set up. And kind of
you want to give them all enough space too. And there's a scene that was cut that was just Holly and Rukia, and it's sort of the scene that in the script, like, it was my favorite scene. And when they shot it, it was beautiful. And the thing about it was that it's a beautiful scene, but the scene right after it kind of repeated it and had all the same information in it, and it just, there's not time, you know what I mean? So I'm coming back to that scene and the setup for it in 5 if we get one. I like our odds, but you know, that's the part that really gets you in getting these stories and getting all the information in.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, I a lot of times I'm not a fan of the Hallmark wedding movies because the whole sort of bridezilla / super stressed out bride is a lot of times not my favorite of all these kind of tropes, because I just feel, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm almost 40 and single, and I just feel like you're so lucky that you found somebody to love you. I really don't have a lot of sympathy for you being the way that you're being. And the whole bridezilla trope is just not for me. But I think a good writer can, because I'm not saying it's not stressful. Obviously it is stressful. But I don't know, just it can be a little too selfish for my taste. But I know that Holly's not going to be that way, of course. So I don't know. How did you approach kind of this big event of this wedding and her character and making it all kind of balance and make it work?
It's a surprise.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, go ahead. But how it turns out is actually one of the
nods to the times we live in.
Yes, and it turns out, I think the way that it turned out and sort of all of the decisions that working in this period of time sort of nudged the story, definitely gave us a lot of inspiration. And I think we're all on the same page about, we've seen a lot of stories of bridezilla, and yes, weddings are stressful, but they are also
joyous,
exceptionally. It's the planning is fun, and the planning is sort of in the same way that the holidays are. You're surrounded by people that you love, and you're working on projects together. And I think that's where we kind of focused to start, and then some stuff happened that is super fun.
Well, that's good. You don't have to give it away. But so when you started working on it, I assume they had you from working on the last one, then they have you working on this one, and then all this happened. Did you have to kind of radically change just because of the abilities of having things like big festivals and stuff like that? Did you have to change the story a lot at that point with COVID?
It was closer to production that things changed, that we had to sort of do rewrites on it, and sort of like, we can't, a lot of it was, who can we have in the same place in the same day, and those kinds of things was trickier. But I think one of the things that was really amazing was how much space everyone gave each other to do that there was. I mean, I think Shari and I, we definitely wrote this. I mean, there are definitely days where we were like, we have 24 hours to do what and change. That's 5 scenes that need tweaking, and that the job is, you sort of just do it. But I think everyone is, it's Hallmark. People come to this work with a strong sense of family anyway. And I think everyone on set, everyone in the production team, and everyone at Hallmark gave each other the benefit of the doubt that if stuff had to change, we would all do it together. We would figure it out. We would come to the right solution. So there was a lot of positive energy and a lot of like just saying yes to ideas and having them go forward, rather than, well, that'll never work, which I think in high stress can happen sometimes. This was very, very loving and very friendly and very like, ooh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And so it became very fun. The director was so great about that. The executive producer, Jacqueline, and Linda Lisa Hayter, the director, they were so smart about saying, we have this idea. Do you think this will work? Do you think this will work? We can fix this plan this way. And sometimes it felt like magic. It was like, oh, we would have gotten there if we had another week. That's where we would have gotten to, but you just saw it on set. So you did it, and it worked beautifully, I think, in a lot of ways.
Oh, that's cool. Hi, everybody. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsors for this episode of the podcast. They're the good folks over at Care Of. And Care Of is a wellness brand that makes it easy to maintain your health goals with a customized vitamin plan that helps you feel your best today and supports you long term. What they do is they have high quality products that meet personalization. If you go onto their website, takecareof.com, you can take their online quiz. And this quiz is a 5-minute quiz that asks you questions about your diet, lifestyle, and health concerns to help you address your specific wellness goals. It only takes a few seconds. And when I took the quiz, we were able to narrow it down to my sleep needs being my highest point of concern. And we were able to get the vitamin plan that I needed for that concern. Care of's holistic online quiz is like getting a one-on-one consultation with a nutritionist, all without leaving your home. They have products that are formulated with good-for-you, clean ingredients that are backed by science. Care of is super transparent about the research and sourcing behind each one of their products. And you get recommendations come in daily, individualized, wrapped packets that are perfect for getting back into routine. And I think if you were looking for a stocking stuffer or a gift for a athlete or anybody really in your life, I think that a subscription to Care of is a perfect choice. Right now, the seasons are changing. It's important to get ahead of taking care of your immune health. It takes about 30 days for your body to adapt to new nutrients. So now is a great time to update your vitamin and wellness routines to help support your immune system this fall. Care of's products go beyond vitamins and supplements to include protein powders and boosts to help supplement your workouts as you move indoors in these colder months. So check out Care of. I think you'll really enjoy the products. I think it'll be perfect for anybody in your life you're looking for a unique, thoughtful gift. Check out Care of for 50% off your first Care of order. Go to takecareof.com, enter code Hallmarkies50. That's 50% off your first Care of order. Go to takecareof.com, enter code Hallmarkies50. So, Shari, you being a person of color, with this being a diverse cast, was that something that was important for you and being able to write for Rakia and Antonio and Holly? And Colin, was that something that was meaningful to you?
Absolutely. Like, I mean, Zach knows how I feel, but I had a Post-it. Whenever the going gets tough, I had a Post-it above my desk. I have like a storyboard thing, and I had a Post-it that was above where I write. That was just like, how lucky am I that I get to write roles for Black actors. I just had that reminder there all the time to be like, this is important work. Like my joy and my pride aside, it was just important work. That's representation. My mom is going to watch that, my mom being Black herself. And she's going to see a bit of herself in those characters. And that to me fills me to the brim with joy. And I'm sure that it would for many, many of those watching, many of our viewers. But yeah, I can't really, it's, it sometimes makes me emotional. But for my first project that I got, I'm very, very thankful and grateful.
So does it help you, Zach, when you have the character, you have the actor's voice kind of in your head, you know what they sound like, as opposed to a script where it hasn't been casted yet, so you don't know? In something like this, then you can hear them in your head saying the lines that you're writing. Does that help?
Oh my, yes. Because you can also then, you can push that envelope in a way that you couldn't otherwise, right? You can trust that that's going to be fun. There's a scene specifically with Holly Robinson Peete and Marcy T. House where we wanted them to get into a playful, sisterly, physical comedy kind of thing. And knowing that those actors could do it was, when we pitched it, there's a lot of discussion about like, oh, well, can it be this? Should it be this? Should it be this? And then also, and I'll tell you, part of it is glitter. It involved glitter, but on location, you can't bring glitter. You can't, ruins everything, glitter. But the solution that came out of it was so production pitched us an idea. We said yes, but also let's do it this way because we think it's funny and it's something that we both agreed we would do with our own sisters. But knowing that it was those two actresses, you just trust that it's going to be funny, and then it is. It's very funny. It really worked.
Oh, that sounds really good. So if you were to talk to somebody that was like, the Hallmark movies, what would you say? What would be your pitch to say, give it a shot? You might actually like them, that there's actually something here to them. I mean, some people you're never going to win them over, and I get that. But what do you think, Shari? What would be your best sort of, I'm going to give it a shot, try to convince them?
Oh, I don't even know. I was just going to say that everyone I've told that I've been writing a Hallmark film, I thought for some of them that would be the response. Everyone has responded being like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Everybody I know for some reason watches Hallmark films, but has never said that out aloud, I guess. Because I guess you're with your family and it's the holiday season, right? So you're never with your friends or whatever. And it's once the holiday season is done, it's done, and then you're back to like your normal life. But yeah, I was gonna say I think more people are into it than not. But I guess my pitch would be for this film specifically, grab yourself a cup of hot cocoa. Zach, I swear you saw this coming. Grab yourself a cup of hot cocoa and sit down and let it wash over you. And I swear your stress and any worry you had going in will just melt away. Yeah. Let it do the work.
Yeah, it's so many people's, it's like their secret shame, and we're like, no, come out.
Yeah. I think,
so
again,
funny.
It's the thing that I say every year because I've now, this is my third year with writing Hallmark movies. And every year I sort of sink deeper and deeper and deeper into this idea that, even when we were writing this, we actually named a character after a friend whose mother had passed, because as she was in the final stages of her life, she wanted something that she could watch that was beautiful and joyful and still entertaining to her. And the friend of mine had said that, she had watched a lot of the Evergreen movies over and over again. And I was so moved by the place that these exist for people. And I understand that Hallmark there are valid criticisms that come out of different ideas of it. And we should talk more about those things, certainly. But I think that we, at the end of the day, providing entertainment for a general audience, you know what I mean? I think that we forget the value in that, and we think, well, I'm a cultured person and I watch very important television, and this is not that. And to me, there's room for everything in the programming slate of what we all consume. And so,
yeah, I mean, I've said that a million times, that I feel like I wouldn't have to cover Hallmark movies if Hollywood made rom-coms anymore, but they don't. So where else was I supposed to turn?
Right.
And I think that there is something that's inherently hopeful about love stories. At least there should be, that we all want to be loved as humans. And so even if these do sort of leap into the even maybe a little bit almost a romantic fantasy kind of a thing, even they're not like gritty realism, I get that, but it's a hopeful thing to want to be loved and to watch stories about love. And it is about, I think most people experience that, whether it's as you experience this year getting engaged, or whether it's having various relationships. I mean, that's most people's lives, and so you get to watch it and then you mix it with Christmas, which is a very hopeful holiday as well. And I think it's just it's comforting to watch such hopeful programming, I think.
Yeah. And I think Hallmark's, Hallmark, there are a lot of lazy takes around about Hallmark that I think that, so many people work to bring this sense of hope. And also I think this year we've seen a lot of really strong expanding of the table, as I think Michelle Vickery put it. And I think that effort is incredible. And I'm pleased about all of those things that are happening. And so I think that the more we do that, I think that's a good model for a lot of us.
And it's interesting too, because even the movies that are not featuring a particularly diverse cast, there's still been a freshness to them in some way. It's just like the whole it's like everybody gets caught up in the whole movement. I mean, at least in my opinion, I feel like I would watch any of the movies that have premiered again.
Yes.
And I couldn't say that in the past about all of them. I mean, I just think it's been an extremely strong slate this year, and I don't know if part of that is because I've needed it more this year than in the past, but I try to be objective as a film critic, and I just think they've been better. I think they've been a better group of movies, and it makes me even more excited for next year, because once that'll be a full year with Wanya as CEO, and just the full year of kind of these changes and stuff. So I think it's going to be even better next year.
Yeah,
which is really exciting. And so that's what I trying to say. A lot of the criticisms that I hear, and I get plenty of criticisms, there's criticisms, that's a healthy thing, but a lot of the ones that, as you were saying, are kind of the lazy takes, I think, are the variations on kind of pointing out the tropes and some of those things, and I'm just like, what's your point? Like, that's what is fun, like, to me, a lot of the criticisms are actually strengths in disguise.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so much fun. Why are you criticizing that? Of course, also, it's great. Down festivals.
Fun things is that we get to take those tropes and sort of open them up and examine them and sort of play around in that space.
Is a fake relationship yes, a fake relationship is ridiculous. Do I love it? Absolutely. Please do more. Things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very true. So, all right. Well, we like to end our interviews with some fun, silly questions. So I can't remember which ones I gave you last time. I think it was just the regular ones. So these are the holiday questions, our fun holiday questions. So, all right. First question. What is your favorite holiday drink? It can be hot cocoa or eggnog, or what about you, Shari?
Get in there.
Can they be alcoholic?
Yeah, they can. They can anything you can drink, any liquids.
I'm like looking back. I was like, oh my gosh. Well,
I'm the arbiter of drinks.
Bailey's on ice. That's a nice one. Or like a hot toddy. Mulled wine, if you go to like Christmas markets, which are very popular obviously in Europe. So mulled wine is a big feature at a lot of places. Those would be mine, but my mom does make a really good hot chocolate. She does.
Yeah, we were laughing in Christmas in Vienna. We were saying Brendan Elliott's character, his main role was bringing her different kinds of punch. That seemed to be like a big thing, like all throughout the
my friend's father used to make this eggnog, this very, very boozy eggnog called the Velvet Hammer.
Oh, wow.
And my mother has learned the recipe, and it's deadly stuff. It's delicious. And I think eggnog, I do think eggnog is a great practical joke we've played on people for centuries, but the Velvet Hammer,
Velvet Hammer.
Will throw down.
That is the name. All right. What's your favorite holiday cookie or treat?
I like those peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kiss in them.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are good. Yeah.
My mom with the traditions. Every Christmas morning begins with this. I can only describe it as like a cinnamon roll bundt cake, and that's Christmas breakfast ever since I was little, and that's the highlight right there.
Also, your mom makes eggnog waffles?
Yes. She does. See, I don't like eggnog, which I guess both of you do, but I don't like eggnog, but eggnog waffles are so delicious. Yeah.
I have to, if I drink eggnog, I have to dilute it a little bit with some milk. It's a little thick for me.
It's super thick, right? Yeah. But that's what I guess is good in a waffle, because it makes it really fluffy. But yeah.
That sounds good. My mom also makes these eggnog cookies, which is like this shortbread with, it's basically like a nutmeg cookie, but it's really
that's the thing. I like nutmeg. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. Like the pies are often nutmeggy, so I'm a big fan.
So good. All right. What is your favorite Christmas song or carol? What about you, Shari?
Wait, I think I know Zach's, and I don't even know my own.
Wait, what do you think mine is?
You sent it to me one night when we were working. That funny one.
Here we come a wassailing.
Oh, that's your favorite?
I love Here We Come a Wassailing a lot,
There
and
you
Hallmark
go.
will never let me use it because everyone's like, nobody wassails. No one knows what that is. And like, I'm always like, no, but one day. And I think it's actually it's in one of them now. Yeah, I got it in once, but it's
yeah. That's funny. Well, hey, we'll fit right with your favorite drink.
Yeah.
Mine is simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. What's your favorite classic Christmas movie?
Oh.
I like It's a Wonderful Life a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, one of my very favorites is Scrooged, just because
one.
it's so weird. And it's a little bit, there's some, the 80s are problematic, but I like It's a Wonderful Life too, because at the end of the day, it really is about the town comes together.
So
and I think
good.
that's always been my it's why I love Evergreen so much, is we have to save Chris, as a team, that. I've always just found that
Oh, that makes sense.
inspiring. I hope for that for all of us. There's a collectivist kind of feel to it. So
my dream is to once we really get back. I know at least by me, movie theaters are open, but not back. And when I want to just be, hello, movie house.
totally.
That's why
They show it. They would show it here. They showed it at the ArcLight here every year. And it's so fun
Merry
to watch.
Christmas, movie house.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, what's your
Christmas,
favorite?
you beautiful savings and loans. I think that It's a Wonderful Life is everyone's favorite movie about suicide.
Right. It's topical. Shari, what is I don't remember I feel like we've talked about this.
My favorite classical.
Yeah.
Classic music. You are trying to make me look bad because you picked a good message alongside yours. I was gonna say A Christmas Story, and now
I love it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, no, I love A Christmas Story, and people are always like, they play it on TV way too much. I'm like,
no, not enough.
Just watch it once. I don't understand that as a critique. Who cares? That's on you. If you watch it over and over again, that's your fault, not the movie's fault.
Or change the channel.
That's right. Just watch something else. There's literally a billion options.
Yeah, my stepfather was the one who introduced me to that one, and it's great. It's a classic.
It's so good, and it is surprisingly emotional. When he beats up that bully, that is the best.
You just feel, you're proud of them.
It's so good. I agree. Okay. So do you have a favorite holiday tradition? Like making cookies or the tree or something like that?
Pajama swap on Christmas Eve.
Oh, cute.
And one gift.
Oh.
Yeah. I know a lot of families do that. That's fun.
I make a fairly unhinged manger set of just stuff I've collected every year to sort of call back to my half-ass Catholic roots. Let's let's put up the manger set, and that was always a big deal in my house because it's character based, and I always loved that. But I've got Pez dispensers of Marge and Homer that fill in.
That's your nativity is
it gets pretty. People give you stuff once they realize you're doing it. So I got a lot of interesting farm animals too. So it's a narwhal that it hangs out at the manger. So.
It's like in Love Actually when the lobsters at the nativity.
Yes,
it's perfect. Very good. Okay, which do you like better, Scrooge or the Grinch?
Scrooge.
Yeah.
Scrooge. Okay, good.
Big Dickens fan, yeah.
Clear lights or colored?
Clear. Well, clear if they're little, colored if they're the big.
Oh yeah, the big sea bulbs.
Now, when we say clear, do we mean the soft light, or is it the neon white? Because I like the soft glow.
The soft glow.
The warm, yellowy one.
Okay, good. All right. Would you rather be in a snowball fight or build a snowman?
Snowball fight.
Snowball fight.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a good gift wrapper?
Yes. When it matters, yes.
Yes. By the way, yes,
No,
this one can wrap a present. That was yes.
Yeah.
It has the biggest bow I'd ever seen. It was huge, and there's glitter all over it.
Purposeful, because
I get you.
Oh, all right. Last question. Do you have an ugly Christmas sweater?
Yes. My first one this year.
Yeah. Even there
There's
in California,
a woman,
you got one.
I'm upset you're not.
In, I think Iowa, who her name is Megan Hug, and I just stumbled across her on Twitter, and she makes these really bizarre Christmas ornament, and I bought a sweatshirt on her Etsy store. That's a nutcracker.
No way. You're like, we even have the same last name.
Unrelated.
And we're both super into Christmas movies.
Oh,
and yeah,
she's delightful.
That is quite kismet, I think.
Yeah.
Christmas miracle. That's funny. Yeah. Do you have one, Shari?
Yes, I do.
What's yours look like?
I have two. Well, first of all, it's an awful shade of brown. So it's not really Christmas colors. It's just, it's quite really. It really is. It does what it says. It's an ugly Christmas jumper, but it says it has like reindeer hopping across the front.
Oh my gosh, that sounds funny. When you said brown, it made me think of there's this movie that was on Lifetime, not last year, but the year before, called Christmas Perfection, that I loved, and I'm kind of obsessed with, about this girl who wakes up one day in an Irish Christmas village that's like this perfect Christmas, and I think it's so funny, and I really loved it. And one of the things is part of the Christmas village is she makes a Christmas sweater every day, and she gets to pick out like what color she wants. And as she starts spiraling, because she eventually gets sick of doing this perfect Christmas every day, and anyway, she like her sweater designs become more and more unhinged throughout the until finally she's like black, and they're like, you have to put in some gold, or whatever, and they're like, no, and it's really funny.
I'm in.
Yeah, she's like brown and black and stuff like that. And they still managed to make it like a festive sweater. It's pretty funny.
I feel like people have more Christmas pajamas than Christmas jumpers. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I do feel like people get a lot of Christmas pajamas.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, it's tradition every year to get them. So yeah, like you. So very good. Well, you passed the test. You answered all the questions. Very exciting.
You were being graded?
You can keep writing Christmas movies. It's very good. But this has been so much fun to talk with both of you. I really appreciate you coming on, and we're excited about the movie. And do you have any, is this your only film this season, Zach, or do you have anything else?
Yeah, I wrote a lot this year, but this is the only one that wound up in production just because some of them got pushed. And I did my forays into non-Christmas for Hallmark this year, which was fun. That was exciting.
So we're excited to see all those, hopefully those projects come for 2021. But do you have social media that you would like to share?
I'm just Zach Hug pretty much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Behave yourself. That's my... Please be kind.
Yeah. I'm not a social media person, but I am Shari Sharpe. That's
okay. Great.
me. Yeah.
Well, we'll put that all in the description section so everybody listening can follow and have so much fun. And let us know, if you're listening, what you think about all the different things we talked about. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And you can follow the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. It really helps us out a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that so much. We have our Patreon group, which is a lot of fun. And we are having our next Patreon watch along that's going to be coming up in December, where we're going to watch A Heavenly Christmas with Greg McBride, writer extraordinaire. So that was going to be super fun. You're going to want to sign up for our Patreon for that. We also have our merch store, which has tons of festive designs, perfect for your Hallmark fan in your life. So check that out. And thanks so much. You can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll talk to you all later. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!